Alright, so I have a couple of minutes to chit chat a little bit here at the campsite. Um, Today is going to be somewhat of a short day. We have to do some maintenance. I was largely unsuccessful in getting water from the gas station. Uh, well, for one, I just have to thank Maverick gas station for even providing those services. Uh, you're able to basically get most of your needs met, and if they also had propane fill up, that would be like a quadruple factor of awesomeness, but that just didn't happen. So let me catch you up on some of the things that's been happening in somewhat of a more concise form. So it's been a while since I filled up propane, and on the way here, I was still using the same exact propane I got all the way back when I bought this RV. So that was somewhat of a, I guess, mistake on my part, but I mean, honestly, we're going to refill it anyways at one point or another. So last year, we've gone to Lake Jacassi for a week, we've used it heavily, never refilled it, and on this trip, I left with 3/4 of a tank. It got all the way to the empty, between cooking and, heating and all this other stuff. So it was time for us to go ahead and actually fill it up. So the trick is that because of everything that's been happening here at Wilson Springs campground, when you leave, people take your spot. People always come, people always go in the middle of the night, in the middle of the day. It's just every time you look outside the window, there's always somebody else coming in. And so, in order for me to, facilitate filling up that whole exercise, obviously had to break camp. So, parked the truck on diagonal across my parking space so that nobody could get it. My mind was preoccupied with all of that. It didn't dawn on me in any capacity that when with me having a trailer behind me, that my brakes on the trailer was set up for all that weight of the pickup truck behind it. Now, on my pickup truck, quite ironically, because I used to tow with it, I have a Tecumseh brake controller, which basically has numbers on it, right? And it's always been like a clue because I've trained my eye to like look there first, and it would always say, for example, if it says some random number like 87 or something, you know that there's going to be issues, so you immediately hit it and adjust it. This one is made by, I don't quote me on that. I believe it's made by Escort. Yeah, Escort. So there's no numbers on it. All there is just this one lonely light that comes on when the brakes activate. It still has the same kind of buttons that you would see on Tecumseh, but this one particularly doesn't display anything at all. Right? So it didn't even. And in order for me to actually go and fill up propane, you have to leave the Wilson Springs, you have to get out to the highway, you have to go up this hill, you have to go down the hill, and then make a left turn. Well, we've done all of that successfully, and upon coming back, you have to do everything in reverse. And so, as I began slowing down so that I could turn into the Wilson Spring campground, one of my wheels locked up. Now, I've also trained myself over the years to constantly look at my mirrors, because I've always been towing things and always check, when you switch lanes and stuff. So I just happened to glance at my mirror, and that was this giant trail of smoke coming off the trailer. Basically, it dragged the wheel, like it locked up. Thankfully, only one wheel. It locked up so bad that it took the tire down all the way to the metal. So if it was even more, the tire would have been just in a bazillion pieces. So, conclusion of all of that is, thankful I have spare on my trailer. Have to be proactive about that kind of stuff. So went to town, went to Moab, in my pickup truck to basically get that taken care of. Swap the tires, yada yada yada. We show up to the first place, the same place where they fixed my tire for my RV. Nothing but great words to them. Unfortunately, they didn't have the kind of tire that I needed in stock. So we have gone from one side of Moab all the way to the other to this one place called some like Point S or something like that. It's on the other side of Moab, on the south side. Horrible entrance, horrible parking lot. You just basically can't even get in. Like if you have anything bigger than, a pickup truck, it gets nightmarish to get in there. So, but nevertheless, they were able to hook me up with, replacement tire. Plus, I just erring on the side of caution, decided to purchase one more tire so that, heaven forbid, this happens again. I am not gonna be caught with my pants down in a situation where there's just no tire. Especially with my plans of having to move and be in places and stuff like that. So I hope I'll never get to use it, but it's what it is. Lessons learned. So, but today's lesson is of a different kind. I've been at that previous campsite for 2 weeks, and obviously, it was time for me to dump my tanks. Well, there is nowhere to dump your tanks in Moab unless you want to pay, and the entrances to those places are absolutely horrendous. Especially for people that tow, specifically for people that tow. Maybe if you have a shorter rig, that's a different story, but doesn't apply. So everybody and their grandmother goes to Maverick. Wonderful gas station. My hat is off to them for providing, free water, free dump station, and ability to fill up your gas. As a matter of fact, you don't even have to go to those typical slips. It's all kind of in the same area. And there's also dump area where you could actually throw out your trash as well. However, it's a zoo because everybody and their grandmother wants to go there all at the same time, and because everything that RVer needs is kind of like grouped in this one spot, everybody's blocking each other, so you can't even you can't have more than one person fill up water, for example, right? Or if somebody's parked in that spot and have gone inside and didn't fill up water or anything like that, they're blocking you. So at the very least, I was able to dump my tanks. A nice lady behind me asked for help, so I went ahead and helped. She has a diesel pusher, and I've added deep fluid. So after that, it was painfully apparent that there's no way I'm going to be able to fill up the water. So what we're going to do today is actually, before hitting the trail, actually fill up the truck, fill up the gas cans, and water, obviously. Believe it or not, I've been going through gas at quite alarming rate. Now, I knew this was going to happen. I have this whole thing figured out and spreadsheeted and budgeted for. But to actually see it happen in real time is absolutely terrifying. I have this crazy, weird spreadsheet where it calculates mileages and distances between places and figures out different prices of things, because gas varies in price. What I'm finding is that I can't get enough gas, believe it or not. Every single gas station in this town stops at $100. At which point you have to put a different card in. The problem is when you do that, in my case, Bank of America, blocks both of my cards saying that there's some sort of fraud. Right now, a cell phone signal comes and goes in this area, right? So there's areas where it's perfectly fine. There's areas where there's no signal. So if you happen to be at the wrong side of town or something like that, you're not going to be able to know. So all of a sudden, Bank of America blocks, like, I don't know, 15 different transactions while you're SOL because, right? So you have to get to an area where you have to approve all the purchases. So I've been having to deal with that, even though I set travel advisory and called them and all that stuff. But what's been happening is if I fill up 6 gas cans, which I have 6, I never fill up my truck to the full because of that $100 limit. So I've been caught between this rock and a hard place because I need gas to run the generator in RV because it's hot as hell, obviously. So my solar air conditioning has been working out well, but up until about 3:30 or so, after that it just goes into it's just not enough. When it heats up, it just physically, like, I'm getting all the sun, but then it's just not able to keep up with that whole thing. And what's been happening, which is kind of weird, I still don't understand why it's happening. It does something to my inverter, where my inverter, without any kind of beeps or anything like that, it just kills power while still staying on. I'm not okay with that in the slightest. All you have to do is just reset it. So obviously that's tripping something somewhere. But with the timer, and this is the weird thing. If I leave the microwave on, that's when it happens. If I leave the microwave breaker off, speaking of which, yep. So I have to constantly play this juggling game where I have to turn off circuit breakers and certain appliances that, even in idle, drain just enough wattage that trips something in the inverter, despite the fact that it's rated for 3,000 watts. So I think what's happening is the voltage in the battery instantaneously drops beyond something and it does something, but whatever. In any event, after about 3:30, have to switch to running, the generator to do the whole RV. In the future, obviously, I'm gonna get the mini split, but until that happens, have to get by on all of this. So I've been going through gas in RV, and that's the reason why every time I fill up with 6 gas cans, I typically add like 4 here and then 2 to the pickup truck because I wasn't able to fill up the truck at the gas station. Usually add maybe like 4 gallons at most. So it's been this weird delay with everything. So, and of course the distance to gas stations here is crazy. I knew this was going to happen. I anticipated this was going to happen. The closest gas station to me is the Chevron, where the price of fuel is about $1 more than it is in town. So as you can imagine, when you have to get this much gas, it makes sense to go to town. Mercifully, we have found ourselves going to Moab just about daily. If not for one thing, then for 15 other things. And I'm just blessed that Moab is so close. It's okay, let me paraphrase myself. It's not close like as in like there it is, but it's close enough so that you could go there without really destroying your daily plans. So for example, yesterday I've been to Moab twice. I have worked full working day. I've gone to Moab twice, and I've also gone hiking in Arches National Park. So while off-roading to the Arches National Park, being that close to town gives you ability to do things and grocery shopping, gas, water, supplies, pharmacy, that kind of stuff. Um, Here in Canyonlands, we're a little bit further, unfortunately, so that may come to bite us in the butt because it's about 10 miles further than we were before. So, but I'm hoping that because of how some of our trails are going to go, we're gonna find ourselves in Moab anyways, and then just logistically hope everything will work out. Um, so that's kind of all the updates. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll keep you guys in the loop. Till next time.